So welcome everyone. Today we're here for this interview with Waleska and Lubica, who are the co-founders of the Block&Change conference. So maybe it would be nice if we can just get started by introducing yourselves and what is your background, what is your history?
Shall I start?
Yeah.
So thank you, Chiara, for doing this. And yeah, I'm Lubica. I'm originally from Slovakia. I've been living in Madrid for the last 6-7 years with my family, and used to live in London for a long time, all my early 20s. And yeah, my background or my story is actually coming from events management. And I used to work for corporates, for educational companies, and for NGO companies back in London. And like 10 years ago, I got introduced, or I reconnected with my creative side, and I started to promote emerging artists through my friends who started to study quite late their masters in art. And as I was working in basically in a boring corporate world, I thought like the creativity needs to be more spread around. So, and that time also my social impact interest started to develop as well. And through my husband, I also got introduced to more technological side, and I understood that a lot of tech people, as we call them, they are actually a lot very creative. Before I thought they non-creatives. So he actually opened my mind from totally different perspective, and I realized it's just different way of creativity we're not used to, or I wasn't used to. And yeah, by discussing all the aspects of life, I got interested into NFTs through art, actually, because I've been living from London, then coming to Madrid through China. I've been living a bit in China as well. And yeah, the art plays big role with me, and it is still. And I do believe the creativity is the future skills for us and for our future generation. And yeah, that's actually art got me into Web3 through a company called Unit Network. It's a tokenized platform, and they started to promote unit art industry, and they wanted to democratize art industry. So my passion got me into Web3, my love got me into Web3 or blockchain, and to understand that. And I'm still there, and I try to understand how the technologies can improve society overall. And that's actually real vision for me, or mission. Like, people have or exploring long-term legacy you want to keep, or what you want to do. So through my connections, I try to add a bit of those, or keep it after my life. That's me, and how
Yeah,
I would like to describe it.
That's very inspiring, because it's quite hard always to get to where you want to go by passion and just by what you like, because you also sometimes need to do what you have to do. So it's good that you managed to find your way back after experiencing so much. And what about you, Waleska?
Well, I have a very diverse background as well as Lubica. I started off very early as a classical musician, but like my formal studies, I did them in hotel management. So restaurant and hotel management, I was in that field. And then once I finished university and started working, I realized that this life wasn't for me. So I did like my first pivot in career very early on, when the internet, like social media, was just starting. Yeah, like Facebook, YouTube, this type of influencers were starting to kick off, and it was really yeah, something very new. So I decided to go into that field and explore and see what was there for me. So I started my entrepreneurial journey, like more than 10 years ago, let's say on Web 2. And
Okay.
so I had to learn a lot about marketing and business development and online businesses, all of that. I had no idea about that. But yeah, through trial and error, I learned a lot. And then I also became a financial coach. And actually, this is what I was doing. I was helping individuals and small businesses to understand their money and to manage their money better, and to, yeah, like get better at their financial situation. And actually, I got interested in blockchain. Well, I think I knew about blockchain and Bitcoin early on, but I didn't pay attention. I was like, this looks scammy. I don't know what this is. And
Yeah.
of course, in 2017, when like this big boom hit us, in December 2017, I got more attracted, and I was like, okay, what's going on? Like, there's something huge here in terms of economical changes, and it's something that I really don't understand. So I actually started talking about it, but I realized that people were more drawn to to this scheme of become rich fast. And I
Yeah.
was like, I'm not doing that, like this is a lot of speculation, and there was a lot of that back in the day, and I wasn't really into the tech. So I just left it like that and did some trading, but nothing major. And then actually it was in 2021, I think, or 2020, that Gary Vee launched his VFriends. And of course, I had
Yeah.
been following Gary Vee for a long time because of his marketing tips and everything. And like when he went into NFTs, I'm like, whoa, there's something here. Like I need
Yeah.
to see what this is. And at that time I was so busy like working, but I had so much FOMO because I couldn't be a part of this, and I
Of
didn't really
course.
understand what was going on with
Yeah.
NFTs. So actually I came to like an agreement with my husband, and I said, look, I'm just gonna take a year off. Like I'm not gonna work anymore, and I'm just gonna deep dive into blockchain and see what this is.
Wow.
And I took it like, what is it? Because money is changing. There's all of this cryptocurrency. I'm always talking about money, but I don't know what the future is about, and it's already here. So actually, that's what I did. So like,
Wow, that's brave.
yeah, yes, like for a year I was trying to understand, and he's a software developer, but he didn't know much about blockchain. So actually
Yeah.
I was like, let me find out and then I'll tell you. And then you come here
Okay.
into this space. Yeah, so now he's also developing Web3 and all of that. But yeah, that's how I got here. And yes, I met Unit Network, and this is how I met Lubica, and then we were talking,
Okay.
about I have always been advocating for change since I pivoted like over 10 years ago. Like, no to the system. We should do things in a different way. So yeah, this is why we're here now. So now this is why we came up with Block&Change.
Nice, very nice. It's also nice to see that you have like two very complementary stories in a sense. So that would be actually my following question. So how did you get to know each other? What were the values that connected? And how did you come up with Block&Change?
So yeah, so we met last year. Actually, we knew each other last year online through Unit Network, through
Okay.
organizing conferences and events for Unit. And then actually we met last November physically, like on Polkadot event, which was organized in Madrid. And yeah, that was the first time Val came to us as well. I invited her for drinks and dinner just to get to know her, because it was nice to to meet each other. And we end up talking about our experiences, and then the idea came like, oh, maybe we should do something together. And then we were thinking about like, oh, in Madrid there's this NFTs movement, maybe we could try to do a conference together and to do NFT Madrid. But after diving in and to kind of starting to talk to people who's organizing those conferences in Miami, in Paris, in London, in Lisbon, the notion of NFTs becoming very negative and kind of like people started to be a little bit careful about those. And then we thought, okay, we should think long term. What do we really want to do? Let's, to think beyond that, beyond NFTs. So we started to explore and kind of what do we really want, what we want to present, and what do we want to represent, basically. And then after a lot of discussions, we thought, okay, let's do blockchain, but blockchain for what? Like blockchain conference for change. So what is really what we could do with those technologies like blockchains? And especially in Spain, blockchain is linked with a lot of trading and speculation mindset. Like people think about like blockchain is just for trading, which is part of it, but it's not only for that. There is much more to it. So that's kind of what attracted us and how the Block&Change evolved. And we started to brainstorm who do we know, how to create a team, and what do we want long term to go with those. And we're here, and we have a great team who are motivated like us. And it's essential, to have those. And that's
Absolutely.
how I view it.
Do you want to add something?
Yeah, actually, I think we just adding to that, because it's the same story, I could say.
Yeah, of course.
It's I think we were drawn together by our values. Like we were really thinking long term. Of course, there's all of this hype for blockchain, but we wanted to like look further. Okay, there is the hype, but what else? Like, what is the real use for blockchain? This seems like a very good solution for many of the problems that are in society, but how can we really implement them? Or are there already projects who are developing these ideas that we might have in our head? So this is why we then changed from NFT Madrid to Block&Change. It's like, okay, let's meet the people who are already doing something useful for society, and that other people can use, because actually none of us come from a technical background. We're not developers, so we're not the ones creating the technology, but we're the ones using it. So it's like I always think like we don't know how Instagram works or how Facebook works, but it works, and you can connect people and send messages, right? So you just care about the end use of the technology, and this was like our question, because there are some people like us, like you might be interested in the technology and then you start understanding a little bit, but that is not where mass adoption will come from. It's like we have to start giving people the end use, the real use of this technology, so that there can be a mass adoption. So we were drawn by that idea. So this is how, we started like working with people who were thinking the same as us. Like, okay, let's go beyond the hype and let's just starting to use this technology for something.
Absolutely. So let's dive in like a little bit more into Web3 itself. So whether you mentioned a lot that you had strong values that you shared in common, and that's why you want to make a change, and that's why Block&Change. But what exactly are these values inside Web3 that we don't find in Web2, for example? So why do you want to focus on these innovative technologies that maybe sometimes are not understood, as you said, also by everyone? So how can we help also people in understanding them better?
Well, I think one of the strong values that are here, and they're not necessarily like on our website, but it's part of the technology and everything, like you were asking, is decentralization and really giving power back to the people. So I think this is a good aspect of it, and but there's also like the how. How do you really do it? In I always think more in a philosophical way, because it's nice to say like, let's all be free and let's be decentralized, but how do we get there? Because freedom does have a cost as well. So like maybe you can get in the way of somebody else because you're trying to live your own freedom, right? So it was like about having these discussions is like real talk. So yes, we want decentralization, but what is the good and the bad? Because there's always a negative side, and like we have seen it with all the tech that has come into place since many years ago. When something new comes on, something old gets replaced. So that
Yeah.
is that can be good, but that also maybe puts somebody out of work. So how are we doing to make sure that that person, like doesn't default or something? So it's like I think humanity is already in a position where we can say we have history and we know about this history, and it's like we should be making the same mistakes all over again. Like this is not 2000. Like this is not the dot-com boom where we don't know what's
Yeah.
going on, we don't know what the internet is going to be. So now we know what the internet is. Now we know what social media is, and we have now seen the good side and the really dark side of social media, and everybody knows about it. So there is this new technology coming into light, and it sounds amazing. It really looks amazing. I think it is amazing, but there's always a dark side. So let's explore that as well. Let's see. It's like not just fall into the hype, but also have these real conversations, real talks. And so that I think was a very good value and strong value we had, and we still have it. And even with our partners and people we meet and sponsors, we're really straightforward with them. Like, this is what we want, this is what we're all about. And if we're not aligned, then it's not about maybe showing off for the cameras, for people to see that, oh yeah, we're together. Like, no, we really want to make something that stands out and that is real, because this is like blockchain, metaverse, all of this can become really fuzzy. Like, you don't know what reality is anymore. So like
Exactly.
trying to bring some realness into all of this conversation.
Yeah, nice. So maybe a question more to Lubica, bringing forward what you just mentioned. So how can we avoid not to make this kind of mistakes, or to still live in the reality while enhancing it when needed? So not just a substitution, also in terms of technology more broadly, in your opinion, of course.
I'm not sure. Yeah, so I think it's important to be authentic in that sense, and not to fall into also to feel like you fear of missing out, or kind of like, oh, like it's something new, I should be part of it, but also try to educate yourself and to see it as a new way of doing things, but also be self-critical, or like be critical for the new technologies, like it might have as well say there's a lot of good to it, but then let's be also real, like there will be dark side of it, but can we work on it? And also we need to collaborate with different stakeholders or different ecosystem. Like it's like we can be like visionary and kind of go against standards, go against the bank, go against the finance, go against the everybody, regulators, but if we really want to make these things happen, we do need to work together, and because in the end we are in the same earth, and kind of like we have to make this change together. So I think it's a authenticity and collaboration, and not to feel like, oh, you did the bad stuff, like oil companies and green they did, but we need to bring those companies in a conversation as well, like, okay, this would happen, what's next, what we could make happen, or what can be changed. So if it answers your question, but
indeed. I think that in Web3, like, the individuals play more and more a very critical role, because as you also mentioned, we need to be more self-aware, critical in what we see, what we do, because if we want decentralization, it also means that we need to be respectful to each other, and keeping up what was saying as well. If we want freedom, we need to know what are the boundaries. So I think it's a nice, but of course hard challenge. So maybe going back to the Block&Change conference, what do you think that are the tools that can help in educating people or just giving a broader understanding of the good and the bad side of Web3 and what's the conference presenting?
Yeah, you want to go, Lubica? Go.
Yeah, I can say what tools. It first of all, I would say we need to be inclusive and let people not to feel humiliated. Like we need to welcome them. Like, okay, you don't know about a blockchain, because I felt the same as well. Like, oh, like I'm not technical. I don't know many things. Like, how can I understand? Oh, I should be. It's all about the finance. I should understand finance and trading and stuff. Like, not to like. How can we make people welcome? Like, how can we bring them on a board? Like, look, just if you're curious, just come along and just to see.
Yeah.
So I think that's the primary thing, and then also allowing people to have the discussion and network between each other, and making talks like more like for novices, but also for people who knows already what we're talking about and what is the technology and how we can kind of like how we can make people comfortable between each other as well. Like in Web3 world, I met people who have no idea about that, and they're coming from the fashion, they're coming from the beauty sector, but they're still curious and they're not afraid to come. And I've been organizing off-chain communities in Madrid, and I met really like people from developers, people from marketing, people from finance, from fashion. So it's kind of beauty of it. Like this is the beauty of Web3, that the people are very open. And if you keep asking questions, and I think that's another tool, let people asking questions and don't let them to feel like, oh, they shouldn't ask questions. Like, oh, you should know this. No, it doesn't matter if you don't know it. I can explain it to you. And also many times it's better to ask the same question to other person because everybody's explaining it to you in a different way. So I think that's the most important tools, and keep networking, keep people connecting. I think also after the conference, that's the what we can oversee. Like that's also what people need, and keep the relationships going on, because that can evolve to something else.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's very, very on point. That also kind of resembles my experience in Web3 as well. Do you have something to add, Waleska?
No, I think it was well said. I think, in terms of tools, we can talk about the tech. There are already some things out there, courses, Twitter Spaces, for example. Like interviews like this, where people can connect and kind of use to do their own research and learn more about this space. But I think there are also like many tools that need to be developed, need to be created still, in order to kind of like enhance already our skills and abilities in the real world, and just just make it easier for people to interact with that. Just for example, what Lubica was saying, and I know this is your experience, we all attend many events and you meet so many people, and then you want to follow up with everybody and you lose track, you don't have the time. So there are tools out there, but maybe more Web2 or something. Like I still haven't found something that it's that can help me. But we're thinking about doing something like that for us, And so I think there are still some tools to be developed, but there's already a lot out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Block&Change conference, when, where, what can people expect from it? How they can reach out to you and get to know more about it?
Great. So, Block&Change conference, like we want to say, it's more than a conference. Actually, we have been doing a lot of actions before the first defined conference, which is going to happen in October. So you can already find us in different places, in real, like in person or in online. So please reach out to us. We're in different social media, so Twitter, LinkedIn, and our Telegram group is a good way to talk to us and to any of the team of Block&Change. Then we are going to host a community call on every third every third Saturday of the month. So you can connect with us, and this is a place where we want to also bring together the community and talk to the partners, talk to our sponsors, everybody that is involved with Block&Change, and these, like projects that are really doing the change in society and have these real use cases. So they will be all online, and then in real life when we do our event. So we're going to have some events in Madrid in September, and then the main conference is going to be in October. So we're hosting a hackathon with 42 Madrid. That is going to be 6, 7, and 8 of October. And then 9 and 10, we're going to host our main event. And we're going to finish off on the 11th with something very special. I don't want to give it away right now, but
no spoiler.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Perfect. And maybe just a sum up of the other events that you already did, just to give an idea of how much you're already collaborating with many communities in Madrid.
So yeah, we actually started like 3-4 months ago to do activation events before the Block&Change, and let the people get to know us and unite communities in Madrid and Spain. So we did in Ethic Hub.
Yep.
A crypto cafe is run by Ethic Hub project, and we hold like a small talks with CEO of Concordium, with Lars, and then we created other events during Ethereum Barcelona. So we participated and organized Ethereum Hackathon all together with Kryptonica DAO, and did a side event during Ethereum Barcelona with ICP. Then we created few events in Madrid in collaboration with ICP and Off-Chain as well, and with Lunarxy, which Lunarxy is our community partner in Madrid. What else? We planning to do collaboration event with Crypto Mondays in September, also to do activation event in Malaga and Marbella. And also we did the event, another side events in Paris during Ethereum Paris, another side event during Valencia, during NFT show. And so
that's already quite a list.
Yeah. So, and we're planning to do more and more. So because it's important to create and get together communities within Spain, but also internationally wise speaking.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that all these activation events are very important. I was just discussing this yesterday with a friend of mine. We were literally saying that when you go to big conferences, then it's always hard to follow up or just to keep in touch. So it's also good to have this sort of side events, activation events, that you can build actually relationship with people, not just exchange content, and it ends there. So maybe one last question, more like personal. What would be your best advice to give to people who wants to get started or just learn more about Web3?
I could start. I think the best way to learn is just by doing. So sometimes, like Lubica said, some people are fearful of coming into the space, but you don't have to be afraid. Just come, network, maybe start meeting people, start helping out, volunteer in different projects. I think that is the best way to start. And don't be afraid, just do. And just like Lubica, she was mentioning all of the events we did in the past few months, and to be honest, like 6 months ago, we had nothing. We were no one in the space, and 6 months later, like we're here. Yeah. To be honest, we're very proud of what we have done, but you just have to do it, and it's you can grow very, very fast in Web3. I think this is the only place where you can really excel in your growth in a very short period of time. So I think that is an opportunity to just be taken by anyone. And it's like what you can do here in 1 year is what usually people do maybe in 3-5 years in other industries. So this moves really, really fast. And yeah, you just have to be mindful, like don't burn out. And like don't attend too many events. Sometimes you just have to say no. But yeah, in general, just go out, meet people, network, and get involved in different projects, and then maybe start your own as well.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I would just add to it, don't be afraid, just to stay curious and come along and ask questions, and just to see where you can fit in. And sometimes it takes a bit longer, and where you can implement your skills to the Web3, just to explore and read a lot, basically, just to keep up to date what's happening, even though it's too much to keep up to date.
Always.
Yeah, exactly, because it's super fast. But not to be afraid, I think it's the number one. In my case, I think just don't to feel fearless, like just go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for this interview. Make you all sure that you check out Block&Change, and you can find all details. You are able to join our Telegram group where we always keep you updated. You can meet with people beforehand. And if you pass by Madrid in September, then we also have other events. Thank you very much.